Now, where were we? We had finished with this verse, which is like a chariot, which has the spokes. It spoke about the 90s and things, 90 this way. Correct, yes. The Christian came. Yes. So, like the nadis, where for a body, or where all the neural pathways and circulatory stuff, where everything meet, which is typically the brain. So there is a nest wherein, just like how the axles of a chariot and all the other pipes, they all meet below, very, very hidden, and the fuel tank and everything else which is situated below, where that is the most important driver of the chariot or any machine or vehicle. Similarly, this is the point, a portal, one could say, which accesses the cosmic energies, or what do we want to call it? God, cosmic energy, or nature, something which flows in and out through this door, and which is also what you had shared earlier on the group about the Brahma Randhra. Thank you for sharing that. It's called a temporal. Did I get the name right? For fontantes? Is that how we pronounce? Fontanelles. Cranial fontanelles. Cranial fontanelles, right. So it's the main one. Hmm. So the mantra, I mean, just to appreciate their biological, perhaps maybe not anatomical, but at least biological understanding, some vague biological understanding, that this is the place where most development of neurons happens, and all the nadis spring from that and go back into that place, that spot. And so at that position, one must do a dhyana. It recommends atmanam, to think about oneself, think about. So we usually, as per the discussions in yesterday's session, a very important point was raised. Ki is the nadi, because the nadis remain in the body. So then would one think the atma is just the body itself. So that is a very great starting point, because every other Upanishad also starts by positing that the Annamaya Kosha, the Deha itself, is the Atma. So it's not a very bad, it's a shame if we actually fail to appreciate that this is the thing that we all feel, in fact. When I say I fall down, is it the body falling or is me falling? We already always associate the pain of the body with ourselves and the limitations of the body with ourselves. So this is not really a bad starting point. And in fact, even Bhrigu starts off when his guru has questioned him to, to think about the Atma and to think about the God. He first says, maybe the Annamaya Kosha is God. Maybe the body itself, these Panchabhutas which are making up the body itself, is the Brahman. So, and similarly, slowly by tapasya, one realizes for oneself that perhaps there is something which is bigger than the Annamaya, which is the Pranamaya, Manomaya, etc. By the wisdom that they have poured into us, at least conceptually, we are able to think maybe there are other koshas. But if we were to just, check out all scriptural and called the paroksha jnana, everything which has been told to us, or even taught by, even if it is great people, if we just check out all of this and empty our slates for a moment and start everything afresh from the scratch, we would also first think the body is the Atma itself. And the Upanishad is quite happy with that starting point. And it says, then keep thinking what this Atma is, but keep with yourself this idea of Om also, which again, another Upanishad delves very deeply into. Perhaps in a future series, we can take that up. And we've already seen what this means very briefly in the Lalita Sahasranama Upakhyanas also. So then now Atma, to think about oneself, that is what am I doing? See, we actually know that for many traumatized people, PTSD suffering people such as soldiers women who have been violated, or so many different kinds of suffering people in the world. They dissociate from the body itself. They are not even able to feel their very sensations of the body. Hence, they have grown numb. Kind of, they're like existing like a ghost over their own bodies. So the first thing they actually do in therapy and all such places is to make us feel the body, to integrate ourselves into the body itself. So that is the first step where we actually know. We are most of the time caught up in our own mind and stories that we have told ourselves. We are not even thinking about the body. Only if it is hurting somewhere, we think about it once in a way, or when we have to eat and such. But otherwise, we actually don't pay really good enough attention to it. And Ayurveda and other such, medical treatments, they always say, be conscious, be aware of the body, even while doing yoga and other such postures. So, awareness of whatever we think our identity is itself is the first starting point. That is why dhyayatha. And then he says, good luck. The Rishi is wishing good luck to all of us. Vaha means in plural form, Yushmabhyam. To all of you, he is wishing generously good luck so that we may cross over this pain and suffering which is called as tamas. Would you like to add anything else, Arya?
This makes a lot more sense to me.
Hmm.
And also when you say when somebody falls, not only they perceive the pain and the sensation of the impact of the fall, and also their ego is also kind of hurt. And there's a saying like pride comes before fall. So it makes them realize ego. You should start giving up the ego if you don't want to get hurt. So
Correct.
if your ego is hurt in any which way, a person who is extremely rich could be sort of wallowing, but the richness could be the stolen richness, like drug lords. But at the end of the day, their ego is broken when they're arrested or when they're found out.
Indeed, yes.
That's another way.
True. And only in these falls do we realize how big an ego we perhaps unknowingly had nourished, and consequently we try to patch up the bruised ego. I mean, it's ego is not really a bad word in my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me, but because we all are. I mean, what are we but our egos? The ego is most important for building and for having ambition to moving forward with life. Do you think so? Please feel free to disagree.
Ego is important, like achieving a goal. No, you're constantly wanting to achieve something other because you need to keep the life going. Otherwise, you become tamasic. Exactly. So you finished one goal of passing an exam, and what next? Are you going to go for the further education, or are you going to branch off and learn another subject? So life should have a goal, but that goal should not be over ambitious. And if you're so determined that you're going to get the goal, you're going to get the goal, and you don't get it, then you're going to be disappointed, and then you start thinking the other way, and it can lead you to depression, things like that. But if you're ready to achieve the goal, like in Bhagavad Gita, it says, you leave the karma phala to others. You do your karma. So like that, if you can't achieve the goal, okay, I have tried this my level best. I'm going to give this up and try something else which is suitable for my nature, for my intelligence, for my hands, and for my work. So, like ladies take up carpentry work, electricity work, because their brain is suited for that. So they may be failing completely in cooking. Right. But they may be excellent in other things. So you should have goal, but you should never get disappointed if you fail at it.
Correct. Agreed. So even if we were to draw up a goal for ourselves, we must have the wisdom to somewhere be a little detached from it. Detached as in not disinvolved, but the wisdom to say, this is just a play or something like that, so that we are not really, the disappointment doesn't really hit us hard. But yeah,
It's the attachment with detachment.
correct.
You're attached to your work, but you're detached from the results. And say, okay, I'm doing by doing this, I have gained quite a bit of knowledge. This knowledge may come in very handy in future years, which does.
Correct. So I think it was uh, somebody else in our one of our previous sessions. I forget, Oshari, I think. She had told that, she if somebody asked her guru to summarize what the Bhagavad Gita is all about, and exactly this, even he had repeated that attachment with detachment. That's the entire summary. So wonderful coincidence. They say wise men, wise women, all of them think alike. So that's what it is. So now let's continue. यः सर्वज्ञः सर्वविद्यस्यैष महिमा भुवि दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरे ह्येष व्योम्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः मनोमयः प्राणशरीरनेता प्रतिष्ठितोऽन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीरा आनन्दरूपममृतं यद्विभाति यः सर्वज्ञः सर्वविद्यस्यैष महिमा भुवि दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरे ह्येष व्योम्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः मनोमयः प्राणशरीरनेता प्रतिष्ठितोऽन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीरा आनन्दरूपममृतं यद्विभाति. So let's break this down first. Yaha sarvajnaha, that which is all-knowing. Sarvavit, yasya eshaha mahima bhuvi divye brahmapure hi eshaha vyomni atma pratisthitaha. So what we are talking about as the Brahman, the Akshara, is that which knows and experiences everything. So by taking these descriptions of the Atma or the Brahman, so these are pointers to first assume an identity, that is what Bhrigu does. First, he assumes the body is the Atma, but then he analyzes if the body is satisfying and meeting any of these criteria. It may meet a couple of criteria, it may not meet the rest. So then you move on to, you assume a different identity. Assume as in you actually think what we usually feel as ourselves to be, and then repeat the same anatomy on it. We are breaking down this pranamaya sharira by checking if it satisfies A, B, C, D, E, F, visheshanas, and so on and so forth. This is how he progressed. Similarly, with Gargi Vachaknimi, a very famous yogini of the Vedic lore, that she would also follow a slightly different approach called the Drigdrishya Viveka, where she would ask, okay, let me assume an identity and say, am I looking at the characteristics of this identity, or is it looking at me? So this is a very fine difference. If I am able to look at all of these gunas, it means the gunas are separate from me and I cannot be this such an identity, and so on and so forth. So this is how a couple of logics, very famous logics, are used in Vedanta. Similarly here, Sarvajñatva, being able to experience everything. Sarvavit, being able to understand and know everything. Yasya Mahima, whose glory, the identity's glory is Bhuvi Divye Brahmapure, be it on land, the glory on land, as in the material sphere, or in spiritual or metaphysical worlds, Brahmapure, Eshaha Vyomni, this identity is actually situated in space itself. both in the material sense as well as in the metaphysical sense. Vyoma means space. Vyomni Atma Pratishtitaha. See, something beautiful is happening. This Atma itself, they are using interchangeably with the Akshara, with the Brahman. So, this is something very pertinent to the Vedanta, that they use Brahman and Atman interchangeably. Such a such a feat is not really seen elsewhere in the other systems of philosophy, because this is ultimately what we call in business as the unique selling point. What is the gist, the summary of all the Upanishads? If we ask, they say these are the Mahavakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and so on. What are these statements about? These are formulae equating the Atma with the Brahman or the Akshara, meaning that which is present as the creator of the cosmos, the destroyer and the creator and the enlivener of it, as it says here, that it exists in the material, in the metaphysical and spiritual spheres, and in the space. Such a thing, how can it be equal to the very identity which is there in me? That is the ultimate question. That's the $1,000,000 question. So, you can say million punya question. But this is the theory. This is the theory of Vedanta all throughout. That is why you go starting to describe about Akshara, but then it puts the Atma in the end. Manomaya prana sharira neta pratisthitaha anne hridayam sannidhaya. And that Atma, what are we familiar as Atma to be? Let's take care. It's not the ego, but the Atma here refers to the identity itself, which is Manomaya, which is often expressed through our minds as the ego. Prana Sharira Neta, that which leads the pranas and the Sharira, which is what we think we are. We are driving the Ratha of the Buddhi, the Manas, and the body. Is it not? So we feel that. And Pratishtitaha, it is established in such an identity. So all of these pink describers are of the Atma, whereas the red ones are of the Brahman. So it is equating these two together and saying, Sannidhaya, bringing these two things together, Tad Vijnanena Paripashyanti. This is not something to be understood by mere talking or me talking about it for another 1 hour or something, or just because the Upanishads or some great yogini or yogi has said so. It is not to be believed either. It's not even to be intellectually argued about. It says Vijnanena Paripashyanti. Only through one's own knowledge and experience can one come to it. Paripashyanti meaning they see it everywhere, not with eyes, but the paradigm has completely shifted, that everything which the dhiras, the brave, do. And again, to just recollect, dhira is often associated with the munis and the yoginis, because they are also very courageous people to make a plunge into something which is absolutely unknown. It takes a lot of courage to um, put ourselves on the dissection table, put our own egos on the dissection table, put our own memories, our own storylines on it, and tear it open. Right? Even to let a doctor operate on us itself takes a lot of courage during operations. We are scared of the anesthesia wearing off. We are scared of some pain in our body, etc. But just imagine if we were all to operate on ourselves. We have to, a very simpler example, less extreme example, is to put eye drops into our own eyes. We are so scared, we are so nervous. We request someone else to somehow keep our eyes open and just drop in a few drops. Because the mind and the body is fighting every instinct of self-protection. And it's also the case with psychology. We want to protect our own egos. It's so natural, it's so instinctive. We protect ourselves from any hurt, etc. But that is why these people are called dhiras, because despite that fight, they make a resolve ki, no, I am going to discover the truth of it, even if it means that I should operate on myself. So that is why a very beautiful word they use, which is they never say sadhakas, rishis, etc. They always use the word dhiras, the courageous. And this is one of my favorite words. Ananda Rupam Amritam Yad Vibhati. And after this successful operation that they do on themselves, they come to realize that, this behind this wound of mine, which I scooped open, even though it was very painful, I actually see the truth of my own body, the truth of my own mind and the Atma, which is ultimately Ananda Rupam. The Vedanta promises that yes, there is some pain in the beginning. That's why it takes courage to overcome it. But the promise finally is, I hope it is not a politician's promise, but it's the promise of someone who has experienced it supposedly. So Amritam Yat Vibhati. It appears to be completely Amrita, which is ceaseless, immortal, which is the immortal, unleaving bliss. What do you think of it, Arya?
In short, I feel it is like self-realization, putting yourself through different experiences and different traumas and different everything. Once you realize why it happened, how it happened, and you're ready to face it, then you become Ananda. So, because you have realized well, why, when, how, so you've got answer to all that with your own knowledge. And then you become knowledgeable and you're able to understand yourself, that you're ready to face anything. But that doesn't come easily because you'll have to go through your own self experience. No matter how many times other people tell you, it's not like walking in your own shoes, not in other shoes.
Absolutely.
And that reminds me, you were talking about Operation Santiras, and came across a 93-year-old man who had about 43 operations because he belonged to the army and blah, 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 something like that. This was a physiological sort of operations because of aging. And believe it or not, despite such major operation, within 24 hours, you go there to see him. His first question is, would you like to dance? Come dancing. He was out of bed. But how many young people do you see? 93, 43 operations. Was he afraid? No, he was not afraid because he realized that his life was in other people's hand and I'm going to face anything that comes in my way. And that helped him road to recovery.
Beautiful. Beautiful, inspiring story of courage. Yeah. I mean, the very toll even a single operation takes on the body, and to imagine 43 of them, and still he to have not lost his zeal for life. Yeah.
Yeah, and love for life and courageousness.
Yes. Let's quickly see if anything else is being told here. Yeah, so after having described the various epithets of Brahman, of the Visheshanas of Brahman, he says he is perceived as if, now mind you, here he is a very literal translation of Saha or Yaha, but in Sanskrit, like I've told so many times before, it's really gender neutral, but it's just an artifact of grammatical syntax that they make the Pullinga Yaha Saha to be the default. It has nothing to do with male or female. He is perceived as if seated, just as it is the default in English. He was the default in Sanskrit. He is perceived as if seated there because otherwise motion to, from, or fixity in a place is not possible for him who is all pervading like the Akasha. Manomaya, because here the Atma is seated in the heart, is perceived only by the modifications of the mind. Leader of the prana and the body, because to lead the prana and the body from one gross body to another, pratishtitaha is fixed in food, Anna here means the material, not literally just food. The body, the composition of the body is called anna, which is the modification of the food eaten and which grows and decays day by day. Hridayam is the intellect, Sannidhaya is fixing, Atma is really seated in the heart and not in the food. Tat, that is the entity of the Atman, Vijnanena, by knowledge, thorough, produced by the teachings of the perceptor and arising from the control of the mind. See, look at this. What is this Vijnana? How must we realize this? It says, yes, you should start off with thorough knowledge which is produced from all that we can gather from the outside world, namely the Shastras, the Guru, or friends like ourselves who are engaging in a conversation here, or whatever. But the real knowledge will be solidified the way the mantra says by our own mind, control of the senses, meditation, complete renunciation. And here they don't mean just giving up all, like a job or something, but renunciation has a very peculiar meaning, which we have seen earlier. And renunciation with the mind, like how she said, detachment, attachment with detachment. That is exactly what renunciation is. And freedom from desire, because one cannot really be attached with detachment without having desire, I mean, with having desires. It takes one to be in a state of desirelessness, or at least having a conceptual understanding of it, at least to be engaged with such a motto. Paripashyanti, they see on all of its sides fully. Dhira, the discerning. Ananda Rupam, free from all dangers, miseries, and troubles. Like this gentleman that Arya spoke about, this operated soldier. Now there is not, I mean, after one has seen the bottom that one can go, all the dangers, the miseries, and operations, pain, etc. Really, now then everything else is just a child's play. So it's all Ananda itself. Vibhati. Beautiful.
For renunciation, I got another idea. It's
Tell
a
me, Ari.
passion for everything you do, but without obsession. So that's another way of attachment without detachment. You should be passionate about anything you do, but don't be obsessed.
Very powerful way of putting it. Passion without obsession. Yes. True, because obsession comes only if we have a personal stake in it. Whereas if we were to be, just look at passion like a play or something that we ought to do, then really there is no obsession.
And also, it should never become a competition. Once the passion becomes a competition with other people,
yes,
then it becomes an obsession. Because you want to equal somebody, or you want to surpass somebody, or you want to bring down somebody. Correct. Because you want to be the most successful person.
Correct. It then all becomes about winning, which is then some value which we attach to our own psychological self, which we call the ego and pride, etc. Correct. One of the top 5 shlokas which I always like to recollect is this. भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे हृदय ग्रंथि भिद्यते the knots of the mind or of the intellect, the core of being, existential knots, hridaya granthi bhidyate, they are torn. Chidyante sarva samshaya, all questions and doubts and queries, confusions of life, they vanish away. Kshiyante cha asya karmani, all actions, motivations for actions stop. Kshiyante, they gradually decrease away. Tasmin drishte paravare, when one has seen the para and avara. So it's a beautiful word here, very fantastic coining of a tattva, just 4 syllables. Paravara means, literally, it means the two shores of the ocean. So just imagine a river or an ocean, actually, an ocean rather. So one who sees this side of the shore and the other side, that is, who has visited some other continent, perhaps we can say, one who has seen this shore means one who has crossed over an ocean also and come back. Right? That is the idea of paravara. Tasmin drishte paravare, one who has accomplished successfully to see both sides of the ocean, both shores of the ocean. Such a person, he or she will have their existential knots destroyed, all questions have vanished, motivations and all actions itself have gradually ceased to be. They now just sit in absolute silence. Not out of force, not out of rejection of the world or aversion to the world, but really they have seen both sides. So they know, like, how a person who is really, mature and has gone through the phases of life, even if they were to be placed back into a job which they have already seen enough of, they'll do what is needed, of course, but there is no charge. The emotional charge behind it has now disappeared. So that is the state of such a santa or of a saintess who has, by their dhiratva, crossed over the ocean and having come back there too. See, because to come back means you have to, this is a process of evolution and then devolution. One must do something which Chinmayananda Swami puts this wonderfully as analysis and then synthesis. When we analyze ourselves, we are breaking it apart slowly, discovering our own identity. But after that, we must also put back those broken pieces together. That is, in the newfound paradigm, how do all these things come together? Because if half-hearted knowledge, usually what happens is we are prone to this uh, idea of doing analysis continuously, and there's something which is called as analysis paralysis. We become paralyzed. We don't even know what to do with our lives after doing so much analysis. That we feel everything to be almost meaningless and no longer worthy of pursuit. But then the true Vedanta will be successful only if we also have some more courage to put back those broken pieces in place, in their right place, and construct something beautiful out of it, which is our own lives. So analysis and then synthesis should also go hand in hand. So para and avara. Avara means something which is lesser. Para is something which is greater. So one must be able to step into both the worlds at will, the higher and the lower. So that's a sure shot sign that this person has traveled both these worlds and is so familiar with them that there is really nothing much else which is to be known.
Right. From my side, it's a wonderful shloka. And about talking about seeing the other side of the ocean. Again, I bring my mother here, sort of like who still knows this proverb. Desha Suttu Kosha Odu.
Right.
By traveling around, you gain a lot of knowledge, and by doing the kosha also, you gain knowledge. And the other proverb which comes to my mind is grass is greener on the other side. And people leave all their work, job, family, everything in pursuit of something else which they think there's gold on the other side. Go to America, say like American Dream or Bombay Dream or whatever you call it. A villagers coming into Bombay or Indians going to America or whichever way you take it. Once you go there and you delve into the culture and the systems there, and only some people settle, and a lot of people they want to come back.
Yes.
And so once you go there, you experience the other part of the world, and you think, oh yeah, it is just the same as our life, what it used to be back home. And you come back, you settle, and you're very satisfied. And I have known a lot of people who have gone abroad, come back and taken sannyasatva or the philosophy and lots of other things like that. So this crossing the ocean or seeing the other side of the ocean, this is what reminds me of grass is greener on the other side. No, it's all the same all through the world. And like Buddhism, he said Kisa Gautami's story or something like that, where there is no death, bring the sasve, the mustard seed. And so she goes around. She just realizes, I have crossed the ocean and I have come back. Now I'm satisfied. My child can't be alive. Wow. And so she says, I think it is Kisa Gautami or I can't remember what it was. That she brings a dead child to Buddha and says, resuscitate this child for me, bring miracle. He says, yes, definitely I'll do so. Just go and bring me the news that there has been no death in any of the houses you have visited or any place. If there's one such place, come back and tell me I'm going to bring your child back. So through that, she realized what is nature, what is reality. Beautiful. Yeah. And then when she comes back, she is now happy. Not happy, but as in she has made peace. She made peace with her own Atma. Correct. And she has realized everybody has got the same problem. Grass is not greener on the other side. Absolutely. When you were saying this, I mean, I kind of, my hair stood on end, but partly because, so then do you think there is no hope at all? I mean, see, the same story would have gone two ways. That, she would have gone even more depressed and think, Arey, this entire world itself is all of full of suffering. So why should I even live? But then she comes back alive and she has made peace. So what do you think is this fine difference? What will push a person towards one side? I really don't know. That's a very interesting question. But Buddha himself wouldn't have become Buddha if he was not depressed. Yes. Buddha, he had a very protected life, and somehow he sneaked out into the world, and he saw a lot of depressing scenes and depressing stories through his charioteer. He learned a lot of things, and then he came home depressed, and to get out of the depression, he went into Bodhi tree, and then he gained knowledge, and he became Buddha. So if he was not depressed, he won't have gained the knowledge, he won't have become Buddha. It's a controversial sort of thing. She could have come home depressed. Yes. And committed. Yes. Quite interesting. True. So that's the story which I have heard when I was very young. True. Yeah. I think Buddha. Yeah, what makes a Buddha and what makes someone suicidal? That's an interesting question. Because if one were to go through the same traumas of life, some will recover and become spiritual, some will just go into more, blinding depression, darkness. Yeah. It's an interesting question to ponder out. Let's see. Thank you for that beautiful story, and really it suited well, it fitted well with this Paravara. And quite literally the overseas example also. Yeah, that's nice. Let's see what he has to say. The fruit of knowledge of the Paramatma is stated in the following. The loosened is the knot of the heart, as in the group of tendencies in the mind, such as ignorance, the desire to cling, which what she referred to as obsession, will go away. The desires which lie embedded in the heart, here heart means the intellect, of course, and all doubts about noble things and their solutions, they stop existing. Doubts about the perplexity of this world will just vanish away, like the stream of Ganga, which just flows away. It doesn't mean the water is evaporated, but there is some fluidity in the questions and the thoughts. They just become very serene and pleasantly flowing. And then karma, which was anterior to the birth, so he takes a more theological
meaning of karma, where he means the papa, punya, and all karma, the prarabdha, and so on and so forth, which has been the cause of a human birth, even that will cease to exist. So this person, the yogini or the yogi, will no longer have to answer to the law of karma after their current life. Then they will not be subject to samsara anymore. And the highs and lows of life, having seen their effects clearly, now they attain emancipation. They find liberation, in that they are in a very liberated mood. A person who has, let's say, quit a company and come back, if he was rehired, if he or she was rehired, they have seen all the toxicity in the culture. They have seen all the ups and downs. They have gone through those promotion battles and so on. And even if they were to be put back, maybe not as a CEO or something else, but in their original position, there's something very different about them now. They know how they've seen the story. They'll not spoil it for others, but they have lesser attachment. That attachment with detachment will be very easier then. Do you agree?
Yeah.
हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्म निष्कलं तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषं ज्योतिस्तद्यदा आत्मविदो विदुः हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्म निष्कलं तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषं ज्योतिष sorry, there's a typo here. ज्योतिषां ज्योतिस्तद्यदात्मविदो विदुः. A pretty simple words. Let's break it down. Hiranmaye pare koshe virajam brahma nishkalam tat shubhram jyotisham jyotihi tad yad atma vidah viduhu. So what is this being talked about? See, all of the entire Vedanta here itself is all a pointer to the Akshara. So we will find such verses repeatedly where it is describing the beauty. See, it's like a person has gone mm, into a state which was no longer experienced, something very exotic, right? So now you're in so much love with this state that you can't stop describing it, you can't stop sharing about it, you can't stop expressing your joy. We'll all call up our parents, we will call up our partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, etc. We want to share with them. We'll call up our children, we'll call up our friends and talk about, there's such a beautiful place I've come to. You guys know about it? You should definitely visit this, so on and so forth. So we do this very naturally. Similarly, when they have reached the state of Ananda, we can imagine how why they keep describing the very same things repeatedly. And I've particularly found this with parents with newborns, right? Though they have seen other children, in when they were growing up, but when they first time beget children and somebody is talking on the phone, they call up, they do video calls, they show, "Arey, these are the first words of the child," and they find so much, and they keep saying the same things over and over again, but they still find joy in sharing. Similarly, the rishis and these dhiras, they absolutely love sharing about that newfound state of theirs, which is the Brahma, the Aksharatva. So they keep describing it. Hiranmaye pare koshe, it's describing something very poetically. There is a Hiranmaya kosha, there is a golden orb of light, which is the highest in the Parakosha, which means in the sixth, you mean the kosha which is perhaps the sixth or the beyond the fifth. We all know Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. These are the five koshas. If there were to be a kosha behind it, all of these five layers, that is called the Parakosha. In such a kosha where there is just light, not physical light, not something which we can imagine, but here light refers to that divinity which is virajam, which is without taint, which is taintless, which is without pain. Brahma, which is expansive, nishkalam, without parts. As in, see, when do you think you can break something into a part? For example, let's say there is a chocolate, right? Now you want to break it down. It's easy because this part here, let's call this part A. you can clearly see it is distinct from part B because you can now drive a wedge between these two parts and break them into two pieces. So you can then say this chocolate has many such parts, A, B, C, D, etc. But imagine, okay, a more dumb example is now consider the same slab of iron without these grooves, right? Now you can't really break it down. So in as much as its potential to be broken down, it is definitely stronger and without parts as compared to the chocolate bar. Similarly, if there were to be an entity which cannot be broken down at all, even if one were to put a microscope, telescope, whatever scope, uh, if one cannot be broken down or cannot be analyzed further down, which is the most fundamental unit of life and existence itself, such a thing is called as Nishkalam, without parts. Tat Shubhram, it is clean. It's in what sense is it clean? Because there is no second thing. See, when will we think there is something sitting on some dirt on another entity? When there are two things, there is the dirt and there is the actual object that you wanted. So when we realize there is only one, then it is of course clean. It's like 99.9999999% purity. Such is Brahman. Jyotisham Jyotihi. It's the light of all lights, meaning that which helps us look at even different lights. That is itself the Atma. Tat yat Atma Vidaha Viduhu. This is what people who have truly seen the Atma alone can comprehend. So, for us, at least for me till now, all these are just names and words, and maybe a little some Samskrita is there which I can use it to break it down. But really speaking, you know, even if the Rishi or any yogini were to say all of this to me, yeah, it's good, it's nice to hear, but will I have understood the essence, the meaning of it? Maybe not. So that's why Atma Vidaha Viduhu. Only those who know for themselves can actually know it.
For me here,
Yes.
there's nothing like self-achievement and self-experience, which is the one which is going to give you most ananda. As you said, other people, you might have seen other people have newborn babies, but you actually have the baby itself. It gives you extreme happiness or extreme ananda. It's something like you heard, oh yeah, your friend went to Mount Everest.
Hmm.
And yeah, your friend went to Mount Everest, but what did you do? But
Correct.
if you go to you are experiencing Mount Everest through your friend, but when you actually go yourself, then you really experience the gravel, the path, and the narrowness, and the bridges, and the nature, and all the other odd things you have got to sort of come across and win across, sort of like ups and downs, and without actually going into altitude sickness and this and that, and but your friend doesn't describe you what the path was like, what the actual experience was like. Oh, I had a car, but why dust, altitude? And only when you experience it, you know how much of extreme happiness you can get.
Correct.
Yeah, same.
That's a splendid example. Best way to convey how mere descriptions of an experience will not really be the experience of the experience itself. Correct. So it is only
meditation. People talk about meditation because I have never learned any meditation. I don't know what it is like to transcend and how to achieve that. But I know it through other people, but not through myself.
Correct. Same here. So we'll have to all take upon the journey ourselves to really understand the depth of meaning in here. Yeah. And I'm sure all our other viewers on the group later on will agree that, we all need to step in, pull up our socks and actually embark on the journey at some point. We can't really just keep talking about the Upanishads for long. We have to actually take some action. Yeah, even if action just means meditation, that is also at least a step in that voyage towards the Mount Everest, the metaphorical Mount Everest.
No, actually, I have traveled. I have gone to base camp.
Oh, is it?
So I know what it is like. And I'm going around the parikrama of Kailash. Oh, I went to Kailash. Oh, I have become a holy person. That's not the criteria. Well, how did you go? What kind of facilities did you have? Did you have very extreme hardship? What was it like to go up? And what was it like to come down?
Yes. Beautiful. I think you had shared with us some pictures and your experience also in one of the earlier Shivananda Lahari classes, I believe.
Yeah, true.
Interesting. Okay, so we can just do one quick once and then we'll stop it at 10. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् नेमः विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. Another pretty straightforward verse. It's just talking about, it's expanding on the Visheshana I told earlier, the Jyotisham Jyotihi, the light of all lights. It's like a super daddy or super mommy light. What is that? How is it a super mommy or a super daddy light? It is because Nadatra Suryo Bhati, the actual physical sun's light cannot reach it. So then do we say it is in the shadows? No. Or is it there in the night? No, because in the night at least the rays of the moon will reach it. Nothing, or so then do we say it is there on some other planet in another star? No, because it is not even seen by any other taraka. Taraka means any other star. So neither physical sun's light nor moon's light nor on any other star or galaxy will it be reached. So we should actually caution our Mr. Interstellar explorer, this billionaire who is there in the US who is designing rockets to go on Mars and find out if heaven exists or etc. It's a good effort. I mean, we should all try it. But sadly, if he were to come across this verse, he would be quite disappointed that the Dhiras are saying, no, no, it is not on any other planet or on another galaxy. Because no star or light from heavenly heavenly bodies will reach it. Excuse me. न इमा विद्युतः भान्ति कुतः अयम् अग्निः. Not even space exploration, but even if we were to sit in a closed cave and say, okay, let me bring my torch, not even electricity or battery powered engines will be able to discover it. Na ima vidyutah bhanti. It cannot be lit by any other electrical or electronic device. Kutaha ayam agnihi. For sure, if the Surya, Chandra, Agni, and lightning and other such things cannot illuminate, surely even Agni, even fire cannot lighten it up. You can't light a campfire or some torch and say this is where it is. Tam eva bhant. So then what is it? So is it some kind of weird darkness where no light can penetrate it? No, because potentially, at least if you were to keep a star there, if you were to let's say, use a cosmic matchbox and light up a star or a sun, in that place it would be visible. It's just a lack of stars which is causing the voidness in space. But it is not talking about any of this because tam eva bhantam anubhati. One need not really go so far deep into the galaxy or somewhere at the bounds or the boundary of the universe to find such a thing. Because tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam. It is as we are even conversing, talking about all of this, that tam eva bhantam anubhati. Now I am sitting in front of the laptop. Perhaps all the other viewers here may be looking at their screens, mobile screens, which is lit up by electricity, right? But tat bhantam, that which is light lit up, that light which we are looking at through our eyes, anubhati. So how do we even know that all of these things exist? Let's do a quick 2 minute, just run with me on this logic. A very famous logic again called as a Drisya, thanks to Gargi. So, you know, uh, I'm looking at the laptop right now. It is lit up, the screen is lit up. Now, let me ask the question, how do I know this? So, what is actually looking at the laptop? It is my eyes which are looking at the laptop. All right. Now, let's ask the next question. How do I know I have eyes? What do you think, Ari? How do I know that I have eyes? I mean, clearly I'm able to see. Hmm.
Because my mind is processing something, saying that you're looking at something. So it's lighting it up.
Perfect. Yes. The mind, the thoughts is saying, Arre, how can it not be so? I mean, I am able to experience my eye. And even if I were to shut my eyes, if somebody asks, where is your eyes? I don't need my eyes open to say where my eyes are, which means I already know where my eyes are through something else. So metaphorically or figuratively, I have lit up the eyes. The eyes are lit up by my mind. So let's write this down. So there is the laptop. There is the laptop. It is being lit up by some electricity. But how do I know that the electricity is there? Because I am able to see it with my eyes. Now we have successfully discovered that no, I know that there are the eyes, because even with my eyes closed, I can clearly see, and see is in quotes, where it is with my mind. Perfect. So let's then ask, how do I then really know the mind is there? It's a slightly deeper question. It was easy to quickly say, yeah, the eye is seeing the laptop. Even this conclusion is very hard for other creatures. As humans, because we are self-aware, we can easily say it is the eyes which are looking at the laptop. Let's say mammals or some other lesser creatures can't even say that. For example, if you keep a mirror in front of them, they can't even recognize it to be their own reflection. So it already takes a great bit of human intelligence to say, yes, the eyes are looking at the laptop. And it takes a little more self-reflection to say, yeah, it is the mind which is looking at the eye. So the next question is, it takes a little more intense question to ask, sorry, to answer the question, how do I really know that there is the mind? What is lighting up the mind? What is actually causing all these neurons in the brain to fire? What is the difference then between me and a dead person? Yeah, they'll say medically the heart is not pumping, etc., etc. But then the deeper question which the science misses is, what caused the heart to stop functioning? Or what caused the heart to start pumping while it was born? And what is the impetus in the fetus, right? So all these very deep questions is basically the same question which we're asking now. What is allowing us to know the existence of our mind? Let's just think to ourselves. Let's not just answer it directly. There's no prizes for getting the answer here. But it's a question we should live with. We should, kind of ponder about, I think. What do you think, Arya? Do you have?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a question which nobody can answer. Is there a God? If there is a God, where is it? And how was he born? How was the Brahmanda was born? And if you space, how far is the space? Okay, even if you take 14 worlds, what is beyond the 14 worlds? Who created the space? There are so many unanswered questions. But coming to eye and see and mind, so visually impaired people or completely no sight at all, they have got extrasensory perception. And say if you close your eyes, and if somebody comes closer to you, you can actually feel them coming towards you. Or if you actually move your hands in the total darkness, how far your hand is and how close it is. You can judge. It is called proprioception, the medical terminology.
Proprioception.
How do you do that? How are you aware? And if there is a switch of light, you suddenly see the brightness. But I don't know what the visually impaired people say because I have never asked the question to them. But this is the kind of things which you can't answer how and why, and people are coming up with answers, but is it the final answer? No idea.
Correct. And when you talked about the blind people, something wonderful also struck to my mind. There's an interesting question in science they ask in neuroscience that let's assume a person is born blind. Let's assume that a person who is blind at birth itself. What kind of dreams will they have? Because we in our own dreams see objects visually. So a very related interesting question is what kind of dreams will they have had? Because they don't even have an idea of what vision or seeing even means. So yeah, I mean, blindness.
They're quite aware of what is happening around them because that is completely some extra sense which has been actually given to them by God or creator or whatever you call them.
Correct.
So he gives something and he takes away something and he compensates for it in a different way.
Correct. And even please go on.
We used to have a completely visually sort of impaired person who used to come out for walks with us. And there were times with the guide, blind guide dog, she was able to sort of walk much faster than us. She was able to sort of visualize how far to cross and, how much step, what kind of length of step she had to take. But because we used to go on extremely untrained areas, we had to sort of guide her, or somebody had to guide her a little bit. You had got to climb up about a foot or something like that. I've seen them cook. How did they manage?
Wow.
She came to she was walking into one of the shopping centers and she was asking for, I want this ingredient. And I can make very nice curry with this. She was able to look after herself. So she was given some extra sensory thing by God or the Creator.
Correct. A very heart-touching story of resilience. And so then the question still remains, even for such people, visually impaired, visually challenged people, even if they're using their extra senses, whatever those are, gifts of nature or God, how do they really know? I mean, neither of us are, but we should then have somebody on our discussion and ask them really, what do you actually experience? How do you really know that, something exists or not? How do we know that, even the mind, which we have a vague idea of, we are so close to our minds, but still we cannot really lay a finger and say, yeah, this is the mind. So these are the questions, how you beautifully said, all these fall into the same box as other philosophical questions, such as God, what is space, creation, what is extrasensory, what the, what is it called? The presuppose,
Proprioception.
proprioception. So how is that? I mean, it defies all logic and science. So it's a beautiful bucket of questions. And in fact, the mantra here coming back does not really actually answer it to. It just says, it doesn't name it. It doesn't even say, yeah, this is the answer. It just says, Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Perhaps that which we are seeking as ourselves is through which everything else, tasya bhasa, by the awareness or the light, light here figuratively, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati, that through which everything else can be known, that through which everything else becomes known, known as in not by information and knowledge, but by experience. by what we experience as life, by that which life can be known itself, is perhaps that which cannot be lit truly by any of these Surya, Chandra, etc. So it is truly something which is extraterrestrial in the sense that it is still within the earth, it is still at our very grasp, so very intimate to us, yet cannot be illumined by any of these heavenly bodies.
Wait, Surya from Prabhadaranyaka, Yajnavalkya's thing. What is the leading light? One of these days you should be actually sort of do this. That's fantastic.
What is that exactly? Can you speak more to it?
Prabhadaranyaka. Yeah. A conversation between Yajnavalkya and
yeah, Gargi. I think it is Gargi.
Janaka.
Janaka. Okay.
Janaka.
Yeah. Correct. Okay, let's stop here.
Finally, it says the Atma.
The Atma, right. Now, even when they do say the Atma, for me at least, it is just another word. It makes no, I mean, it doesn't give me any insight. But it's worth exploring it for ourselves, I think.
It's the self-guidance. You go and ask lots of people for, if you want to buy a house or something, or if you want to buy a car, you go and ask so many people about their opinions, what model, what things, and finally you're the one who is going to be able to decide. You might have got 10 inputs, but who is going to make the decision? You're going to make a decision. But within you, who is going to make the decision? It's your sixth sense or some kind of guidance.
Correct.
So which is your inner self?
Correct.
The answer should come within yourself.
Absolutely. Certainly. Beautiful. So on this good note, let's stop for our discussion for today. And we'll do a quick 4-minute meditation. Sit in silence.